Neither one of them shows up for us.
Yeah, this should really be between you and I. Here, take my agenda.
You think I would know what's going on?
We're good. Yourself?
Share that. Mic check.
Just got home. So.
All right. Greetings, everyone. This meeting of Brooklyn Community Board 14 is called to order on Monday, May 15th at 7:03 p.m. under the applicable statutes of New York State, the Charter of New York City, the board's bylaws, and Robert's Rules of Order. The board's policy is to encourage detailed public discussion of matters before the board at our committee meetings and at public hearings. Consequently, except by board members, there will be no public discussion at a regular monthly meeting of matters about which a public hearing or committee meeting has been held. Specific service delivery requests or complaints should be brought to the attention of the district's office staff by calling the board office during regular business hours or by visiting our new website anytime. Other matters of civic interest may be brought before the board during our scheduled public comment period, which will begin tonight after all other business on the board's monthly meeting agenda has been concluded. No partisan political appeals or advertising of for-profit enterprises will be heard. Persons wishing to speak during the public comment period were asked to pre-register. If the secretary would call the roll, please.
Good evening, everyone. You need a mic.
Need a mic.
Cindy. Will you pass that one down?
Okay. Wakil Ahmed. Gregory Alvarez. Here. Hindi Bendel, present. Benjamin Bendit. Here. Christopher Bromson. Present. Joanne Brown.
Present.
Michelle Brunson. Edward Sen. Carmen Cirobel. Not here. Carl Henry Caesar. Here. Florenzia Chang Gajeda. Present. Yvette Claire Jean. Stephen Cohn.
Here.
Elizabeth Dennis.
Present.
Derek Donald.
Present.
Sabina Dorville.
Here.
Joe Dweck.
Here.
Yehuda Eckstein.
He's here.
Lee Harmon.
Here.
Musa Hassan. Midi Harris. Mordechai Huzarski. Nadika Johnson. Dwayne Joseph.
Present.
Sahid Khan.
Yes.
Naomi Lipnick. Is Naomi here?
No.
Okay, Donna Loggins. Hey. Sasha Maslewski. Melissa Minich. Hey. Ephraim Nuremberg. Boris Noble. Eric Ost. Ornella Parker. Susan Phillip. Tzvi Plotzker. Edward Powell. Barton Prasad.
Here.
Mohammed Razvi. Bazaruhi. Nina Sabger. Okay. Talisha Stainville.
Here.
Moshe Schoenfeld. Joel Siegel. Gail L. Smith. Abraham Traff. Deborah Valentin. Corzin Valente. Dawn Mary Walker. Okay. Glenn Wallen. Okay, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the minutes. All board members received the minutes with the reminder of this meeting. Do I have any changes from the floor regarding the minutes of our April general meeting? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the April general meeting? Seconded? All those in favor of adopting the minutes of the April general meeting, say aye. Aye. Anyone object? Anyone wish to abstain? Thank you very much. The minutes have been adopted. Moving on to the district manager's report, District Manager Sean Campbell.
Hello and good evening. A lot has happened this month, so I'll get right to it. As some of you know, there was a humanitarian emergency shelter opened in the district a few weeks ago. We were advised by the Department of Social Services a couple of days after it became operational. We have been working with COPO, and Mo Rasvi has just been brilliant about getting emergency supplies and clothing and food and assistance to the people who are being sheltered there. There are 67 families. A lot of those kids are going to school at PS 217, 139 Ditmas Junior High School. And so I'm looking at Mary Casey from Assemblymember Carroll's office because they also rush to be of assistance. We are trying to put legal services, language assistance services into place. It has been difficult because the Department of Social Services was not prepared to accept help and told us to hold off until the community-based organization that they were contracting with was put in place, to which I replied, I think then you will need less help because they will be in charge of doing it. But we've been able to manage to figure out a way through, and that's partly through the schools, and because Mo Rasvi just walked over. We will continue to be of assistance. We are looking for, you might hear more later, Assemblymember Carroll's office is doing a drive for many things. At the community board office, we will accept completely closed packages of personal hygiene products, and those can also go to COPO, and they'll also accept a broader array of things. If you have something and you're wondering where you should drop it off, you can also give us a call. For anybody who might know where voluntary legal services that are specific to immigration assistance and even more specific to asylum applications, that is something that is in short supply because it's in such high demand and it's crisis mode. So anybody with either that legal background or contacts at community-based organizations that provide it, let us know that as well. Sarah Skloff from our staff has been putting together a resource manual, and she and Patricia have been working on translating that into Spanish. We found out today. There's also actually a Turkish family, a family from Afghanistan, so we'll work on, if they need Turkish Dari Pashto, we'll work on that as well. So please let us know if you can be of assistance and drop off items in the office if you so wish. We also heard from the Department of Social Services that the men's shelter that we were aware of and that we had public hearings about and that we were expecting really for the past 3 years had become operational. I got that call on the day that it became operational, and reached out and made sure that the stakeholders in the vicinity were aware of it and put together a contact sheet for the main stakeholders so that we can all hit the ground running should questions arise. That shelter will be setting up a community advisory board. I have a lot of confidence that they'll do so expeditiously because we're familiar with it. It's being run by the Black Vets for Social Justice that operates the shelter on Coney Island, and that shelter has had very few issues, and where anything has arisen, they've been very responsive. So I have high hopes for collaborating with that organization as they serve the 200 men who will be housed there under A Place. We also, after a year, had our first, the Children's Rescue Fund held their first community advisory board meeting for the Kenilworth shelter, and it was a sort of broad overview of programs that they run and services they provide. It did not lend itself to drilling down on details or answering specific questions that well, but I'm optimistic that it was at least the opening of a door that should have been open a while ago, and an opportunity to begin establishing rapport so that we can work more collaboratively with that shelter. Yeah, I think that's all on that. If there's any questions about what was discussed for that location, please give us a call in the office. As has been mentioned, the community board does have a new website, and Patricia Olander really single-handedly, totally rehabilitated a website that wasn't even terrible before, but now it is great, and I'm really excited to put it to work, and I encourage those of you who haven't already become obsessed with looking up things on the website to take a look. It is brand new, and so it's still a work in progress, so let us know if there's any feedback, and we'll add the additions and tweak the tweaks. Also, another big project in the office, which might not sound exciting to you all, but it's the our land use records were all digitized, and that was a lot of manual labor performed by Sarah Sklock, who spent dusty days in the back room taking out all of our land use folders from 1979. So I'm really glad to have all of that cleared out. I'm excited to get it up on its platform and have that back room cleared out. So I want to thank the board for supporting the expenditure, which came up at last meeting, because that is on its way to being done. Hold the date, June 21st. We're back to having our annual reception, only it's not annual anymore because we skipped a couple of years, but to restarting the annual reception, and we will be recognizing some of our partners in city government and some of our partners in the community. Really looking forward to that. It will be at Toro College, 6 to 9, but you'll get this all in writing, June 21st. And then also just be mindful about your plans for this coming Saturday. It's the Brooklyn Half Marathon, so check the road closures and figure out what you're doing Saturday accordingly. Thanks very much.
All righty. I'd like to acknowledge some of our representatives of elected officials in no particular order. From Assemblymember Robert Carroll's office, Mary Kay Seary, thank you for being here. From Comptroller Brad Lander's office, Pincus Hyken. From Congresswoman Yvette Clark's office, Ellie Slavin. From Borough President Antonio Reynoso's office, Eileen Mullaney-Newman. And from the 7th Precinct, I see we have Commanding Officer Bruce Separano. First, I'd like to offer congratulations on behalf of Community Board 14 to Commanding Officer Bruce Separano on his promotion to Inspector. Well deserved. Well deserved, and thank you for all of your hard work throughout our community. Would you like to address the Assembly? The mic, please.
Thank you again. Good evening, everybody. Just to recap of this last month since I've been here, we're down about 12% overall crime in all 7 index crime categories. But as the warm weather heats up, what's concerning me and the rest of the NYPD is violence and these illegal dirt bikes that are driving up and all over the city, especially on Saturdays and Sundays. This weekend alone, we had an incident where there was shots fired. It was pretty much an assault rifle on East 15th and MUP. After a drug deal went bad, there's an individual that shot into another moving vehicle, and he's still on the loose, so we're looking for him. And just yesterday, we had 2 separate stabbings on the same block on East 18th Street, unrelated to each other. One, unfortunately, deceased about an hour afterwards. So as the warm weather is upon us, we're going to be out there in full force, especially on the weekends, to try to deter as much violence as we can. And in regards to those illegal dirt bikes that I was talking about, the Chief Patrol's Office has a citywide initiative that started already a couple weeks ago. Every Saturday and Sunday, there's extra officers in all 5 boroughs confiscating these illegal dirt bikes off the street. Because I don't know if you've seen any videos online or social media, they're causing havoc to the city. But we are pretty much confiscating hundreds and hundreds of each weekend throughout the whole city. So, but I'll be here for any questions. And thank you again for everything.
Thank you very much, Inspector. I want to offer thanks to Wayne Rosenfeld and East Midwood Jewish Center for hosting this meeting this evening. Thank you very much. And thank you to Mark Moss for his technical expertise in setting up our AV and streaming this meeting. Moving on to the chair's report. Good evening, board members. I am acknowledging that May is Haitian Heritage Month and Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I hope you have a wonderful days of celebration regarding the two. Happy Mother's Day to all those who mother children, animals, plants, and their communities. A special thank you to co-chairs of the Community Safety Committee, Hindi Bendel and Florencia Chang Ajita, for bringing Mother's Day baskets to a women's shelter in our district. You both continue to show such grace and thoughtful service throughout our community. We appreciate you. And we recognize donations from board members, particularly Joe Dweck, who made that possible. Thank you very much. I would like to welcome our new board appointees. If you wouldn't mind just raising your hand or however so we can see you and welcome you. Starting with Benjamin Benyet. Nice to meet you. Lee Harmon. Christopher Bromson. Derek Donald. Sabina Dorville. Nautica Johnson. Sasha Molosky. Not here tonight. Looking forward to meeting you. Ornella Parker. Nice to meet you. And Susan Phillip. Looking forward to meeting her next time she comes. I would also like to extend congratulations to those board members who were appointed for another term. I would like to acknowledge the outgoing board members for their service and dedication to the community. Sophia Francis, Darlene Bowers, Manzoor Hussain, and Walter McQueen. Over the summer, new members will receive a form where you may indicate your preferences for committee assignments. Also, to new board members, please make note of the length of your appointment term. You may have a midterm appointment, which means you will need to reapply for board reappointment next year. If you are unsure, please reply to the appointment email you received from Bianca Stevenson at Borough Hall for confirmation of when your term is up. Please CC the community board on that communication to the info@cbbrooklyn.com. Moving on to the Borough Board report. On Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, a Borough Board meeting was held. The first presentation was from the Department of City Planning, Community District Needs, and Civic Engagement, which is a new division that aims to transform the way the agency works with communities to ensure that their voices are at the center of all planning work. As a sidebar, I think that not introducing zoning text amendments that need a 60-day community board response right before we convene for the summer hiatus would help the department's goal. But I digress.
Yeah, it's pretty spot on.
Editorial.
DCP listened to concerns from district managers throughout the city, and through the CDNCE, there will be an overhaul of the system where the district needs statements are submitted. The hope is the new system will allow more free-form submissions and more personalized responses from agencies. The current system constrains both describing our needs with nuance and agency responses by using a series of drop-downs. This promotes complacency on the part of the agencies to act. We will be inviting CDNCE to present in committee on their full range of activities in the fall, as we hope. The second presentation was from Carbon-Free and Healthy School Initiatives, a campaign that aims to utilize substantial federal dollars to update heating and cooling systems, lighting systems, and add solar power to those DOE buildings that have roofs that are ready for installation. In addition to modernizing our city schools, the initiative will offer union, apprentice, and pre-apprentice jobs by working closely with organized labor. After the presentation, I reflected on the Borough President's comprehensive plan and can see quite a few of the plan's goals ticked off by the Carbon-Free and Healthy School Initiative, including those that are environmental and those that seek living wage job creation throughout the borough. During new business, many chairpersons, including myself, brought up concerns regarding this year's process of notification of appointments to new board members. For the past 2 years, Borough Hall has notified appointees first in lieu of notifying community boards in a timely fashion. Chairs involved in the discussion agreed that community boards should receive the appointment roster before appointees are notified. Any questions regarding what I've presented from the Borough Board report?
A case in point.
Seeing none, quick reminder that the Executive Committee will be meeting this Thursday on 5/18 remotely via WebEx. This meeting will be preceded by a public hearing at 6:30 with the New York State Office of Cannabis Management. Should be a very lively discussion. I hope to see you all there. This ends the Chair's report. Moving on to topical committees. The first committee to report will be from Housing Land Use Committee.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Talisha Sainville, and this is Greg Alvarez. Together, we are the co-chairs of the Housing and Land Use Committee. I'm not used to going first, so bear with me here. So on April 18th, 2023, we did have our April Housing and Land Use Committee meeting, where we had Britt Bird, who is a planner at the Brooklyn Borough President's Land Use Office, and Bird presented slides about the Brooklyn Comprehensive Plan with a focus on health and housing. He also wanted to note, and I want to note for you, that we are seeking, along with the Brooklyn Borough President's Office, we're seeking input from board members on this comprehensive plan, and you can go to the CB14, the newly revamped CB14 website, in order to find a link to put your input, and that's only, and Patricia and Sarah are waving something in the back there, so apparently for people in the room, you can head over to that table before you leave in order to get your input in on that report, or at least figure out how you can go to the website, read the report, possibly watch the April 18th Housing and Land Use Committee meeting on YouTube, and then you can put in your input. And just remember that it's only open until May 31st, which is in like 2 weeks, so you don't have much time. The other person who spoke at the April meeting was Bill Cooch, who happens to be a CB14 2022 and 2023 planning fellow. And he gave us a presentation on housing affordability housing, affordability, and trends with a detailed focus of diversity, trends, affordability, and capacity. And I just want to mention one last time that if you missed the April 18th meeting, I'm sure we'll be having another one, at some point before the end of this year, so you can come to many more. But you can also catch a replay on the CB14 YouTube page. Greg?
It's in syndication.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been very busy, so I'll try to be quick here. So we also held a meeting on May 10th where we had the other two planning fellows that we've had this year, gratefully from the Fund for the City of New York to help us with other land use issues. So we had Morgan Ruther, who first presented her study regarding the City of Yes carbon neutrality amendments, which Chair Brown mentioned earlier, which have been issued for review and require our input before we adjourn for the summer. We're going to have a meeting on June 8th to talk about it in further depth because we'll have a guest from the Department of City Planning to go through them in greater detail. There are 17 amendments, and so Morgan basically walked through she highlighted for us three of the amendments that might be of particular interest to the district involving healthcare services, infrastructural resiliency, and parks and open space, which has been a recurrent problem for us in the district. So she walked us through her analysis using mapping and other studies that she has undertaken through the year to help guide us through those amendments. So some of the highlights are focusing on issues of chronic flooding and ways that the text amendments might be able to help with that, as well as solar installations that might be a little bit easier under those amendments. Again, all that's going to be posted on the website, the presentation, so you can learn more about that, but it's going to be knitted in with our June 8th meeting. The second presenter was Lucy Phillips, our third and final planning fellow, who analyzed for us Newkirk Plaza, the perennial problem of jurisdiction of the plaza in terms of security and in terms of maintenance. And she took us through the history of the plaza from its very beginnings back in 1910 and the problems of jurisdiction between the DOT, between transit, and no one really taking ownership of it through the years. Her conclusions and possible recommendations include DOT pedestrian plaza program, insertion for the plaza, which is certainly a possibility in which we've explored, and also the available ULURP process, which is also available to take us through and perhaps get us to make it a public place. Again, the presentation from Lucy will be on our website. It's going to be a little more expansive because she had a lot of historical documentation, and so we invite everyone, once that's up online, to take a look at that. And as Talisha mentioned, all of it was on our YouTube, is on the YouTube channel for CB14 in terms of all the things that took place on the 10th. So thank you very much, and I think we'll conclude at this point. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Your committee has been very busy, and we really appreciate all the hard work. You got one more meeting to go before hiatus. Yes.
I just want to give a quick shout out to those two fellows. They did astounding work, gave very clear, logical presentations, and basically their contributions are invaluable, and I hope that we can keep securing the assistance of fellows as time marches on.
They were stellar. They did great work. Thanks for saying that.
Thank you. Agreed. And I want to thank District Manager Sean Campbell for getting, always putting in the grant to get us some fellows to do this work for us.
I love them.
Moving on to Youth Services, Education, and Libraries Committee. That's you.
All right, hey folks, good evening. Happy Monday. So first thing, because I'm a fan of sports, if you're a Sixers fan, That's all I'm gonna say. You had your shot, you blew it, that's it. But this is not that moment. So I'm gonna give a recap of the May 1st Youth Services Education Libraries Committee meeting. So it was a very packed meeting. There were several things that we had on the agenda. So the first thing was a presentation from the New York City Youth Agenda, and it was actually a mini workshop. And so what we basically had was the pleasure of having some high school students ask us some questions and also give us some feedback in terms of their vantage point of youth engagement in the community board process in general. So the first thing they did was they asked us, how did the April Youth Conference go? So we gave them some thoughts on how that went. The next thing they then asked us was what percentage of community boards citywide did we think had a membership 25 or younger? And basically, we thought below 5%, and they said, you're right, but it's lower, below 1%. And so this is citywide. And then from there, some of the things that they went through were some of the ideas and thoughts that they had as potential barriers structurally and maybe environment-wise in terms of why youth engagement may be so low. And then the flip side of that was they had some ideas in terms of how to maybe increase youth participation as well. And then they also had some ideas of ways to do better engagement and mentoring when people are actually onboarded. So that was very cool to have that conversation, that dialogue with those members as well. So after that piece, the next piece was a presentation from the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. So this entity was created due to a November 2018 ballot initiative that had passed, and as a result of that, it had revised the New York City Charter. So then this organization, I'm very much cliff noting it, but the super cliff notes is that they are charged with increasing civic engagement and participation throughout New York City. So one of the things that was flagged was that voter turnout is still very low. And the main thing that this individual wanted to let us know about is that participatory budgeting, the voting period is there. So a quick crash course. There's basically $5 million from the mayor's expense budget that people in the city can vote on. And so that voting period started actually May 10th, and it goes through June 25th. So you can either vote online or you can vote in person. If you're gonna vote in person, there are specific sites where you can vote. And basically, there's two things that you'd be voting on. There's one group of borough-specific projects, and then there's another category that's basically neighborhood-specific ones, because the city came up with this classification of neighborhoods that were hardest hit by COVID and also had other socioeconomic factors that were pretty hard for them. And so there's a specific set of projects devoted for those neighborhoods. And so very much that was the crash course. And so voting started May 10th for participatory budgeting. You have till June 25th. And then the other piece of the agenda was basically a recap of some of our thoughts from the youth conference that had happened on April 3rd. So this is by no means an exhaustive list, but basically some of the things were that the parents, the guardians, the adults who were there were extremely enthusiastic and enthused and just pleased that we were doing this in person. The energy was very electric and contagious, which was very nice. The other thing too is that the mock interviews were very fun, and those were well attended. On the flip side, the workshops themselves were not that well attended, and so there's a question about what do we do with the future of workshops? There was also a question about some of the people who came in for the interviews. It was actually a resume and interview workshop, but a good portion of people didn't really know about the resume thing, so there's also a question about what do we do with that in the future? And there's also questions about flow, because the way things were set up, we were in the Student Union building at Brooklyn College, and so we had 3 floors, and registration kind of happened on 2 floors, so there's a question about flow. So this is by no means is the extensive list of things, but these were just some of the things that we talked about when we were thinking about things that happened and some of the things we experienced during the youth conference on April 3rd. And then as District Manager Campbell Nicole had mentioned, we had learned of the shelter, the migrant shelter on Coney Island Avenue after it had opened. And so the only addition I'm going to make is that District Manager Campbell did raise that to Congresswoman Clark when she had her town hall about a week or 2 weeks ago as well, too. So that's really it for my update.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to recognize some representatives of our elected officials, starting with Kashif Hussain from the Public Advocate's Office. Welcome. Portia Edwards from State Senator Eleanor Myrie's office. Thank you. I'm going to butcher your name. I'm really sorry because the handwriting. Arosha Malakowski? How did I do? From Councilmember Farrah Lewis's office. Thank you for being here. And then I also wanted to add, this was not on my original list, but I was given the name this evening, another new board member, Mark Cohen, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. Hot off the presses. Nice to meet you. Moving on to Human Services Committee for report.
They always show up. Oh, you wish.
Good evening, and nice to see everybody in person, and welcome to the new CB14 members who have come to join us tonight and join forces. It's a wonderful community, and you'll love being with us, because I love where we live. So, I have to find it. We have nothing really to report for this month. Unfortunately, it's been a little quiet for us. I think there have been more pressing issues in the community, I guess. But we do have something. If I can find my post. Okay, so we do have something really exciting coming up on Wednesday, May 24th, and it will be in the CB14 office, which is kind of around the side. I don't know exactly how to describe it. Around the side from the Q train. So if you know where the Avenue HQ train stop is, we're over what is it considered East 15th Street?
810 East 16th Street.
East 16th Street. I don't know. I just know how to get there, so I show up, whether they want me to or not. Anyway, so we have, we're actually doing something jointly with the Community Safety Committee, and we are going to have the FDNY as well as Dynamic Youth Services, and we're going to have CPR in person, and we are going to have Narcan training, so be there.
Welcome also to the new members, and I've had CPR training, and you always need to repeat it because you easily, I had it less than like a year and a half ago, I'd say. I really don't remember a lot of it, so I'm looking forward to redoing it.
And it changes.
Changes.
I do want to add that we have asked members of the community who want to take part in the training to please pre-register. Space is limited, so you have to sign up. Co-chairs will be automatically signed up, but everybody else has to register, please. There are questions back at Corazon and our new member.
Yes.
If you want to do the training, if you don't want to do CPR but you want to do Narcan training, is it both trainings together, or can you still like register one or the other?
You can do just the one.
Okay. And where's
It's on the website. And is there a way to indicate that you're only doing one training on the web? Will you give us a call tomorrow? Okay, thank you.
Melissa
We
Minnick.
will work it out.
All right.
Two questions. What time is it?
Oh, 6:30, like all committee meetings.
Okay. And secondly, is it full CPR training, or is it like the hour long? You have to be certified.
Right.
You will be trained.
No, it's certification training. It's the full hour long. It's CPR, not mouth to.
Full certification's like 3 hours.
Oh, okay. It's a 1-hour training.
That's what they call a Good Samaritan CPR.
Okay.
If we're ready, registered, are we supposed to get a confirmation email back, or just registering and then it'll close off if it's full? Perfect. Thank you.
I would clarify the date of training.
What's the date?
May 24th.
May 24th, Wednesday, May 24th, at 6:30 PM in the CB14 office.
Did you get that?
Yeah, Wednesday, May 24th, 6:30 PM, Board Office, 810 East 16th Street.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I just want to add something that before we lose our quorum, that one of the key address was district manager. She was talking about new asylum seekers and all these things.
Bring it back to the agenda.
And I still remember I came in this country 2010 as an asylum seeker. So we should talk about that. NYPD is here, federal representation here, borough president here. So let's talk about them.
What I
Make a committee. We discuss, because I faced almost 5 years harassment. I feel anxiety. I feel depression. I feel unrest.
what I'd like
in this
to,
community.
yeah,
So when we have a 62,000 last week's statement by Honorable Eric Adam Mayor. So I think maybe we have 70,000, 80,000. So what is our situation in school? What is safety in our parks, housing, affordability, food, all these things. So I think we consider our district manager's statement very careful and really need to address these things.
all right, so, you're welcome. So what I'd like to offer is that at this particular site, the situation is very premature, and we're trying to get more information. Let's think about this for the June meeting. Let's see if we can get more information from DSS, DHS. As far as I know, there isn't an operator in place yet. And then we can expand it to something more of a board action. But I completely hear your words, and I understand the severity of the situation, and they are part of our community, and we want to assist. Right now, we're just in a premature situation. Okay, thank you. I'm going to go back to the agenda if there aren't any more questions. The Human Services, Community Safety Committee.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to everyone who celebrates. We were gonna tell you guys about the meeting, but I guess you all heard about the meeting on March 24th at 6:30, where we're gonna have CPR training and ARCA training, and it's gonna be at the CB14 office, which is 810 East 16th Street, and everyone's gonna sign up because CPR is so important, and we could save lives. We never know when that's gonna be needed. And so I really encourage everyone to sign up for that. And I'm very thankful that FDNY is willing to take care of that. Florencia and I, with the help of Joe Duac, he gave us funds, we were able to go to for Mother's Day, we went to a shelter. It's in a secret location within our community, where we were able to present 35 women with beautiful flowers. They were very grateful, and beautiful baskets filled with like towels and blankets, and really, you know, the women were so abused. Renzia set up the baskets, and she did such a beautiful job. And the women were so grateful, and it was just such a beautiful experience to get to meet these women and see how strong they are and see how grateful they are. And it just like gives us, like so much to think about, how we have things and we have to be grateful and give back to the community when we can. They also let me know that the women come with pretty much nothing. So they are grateful for donations of clothing, whether they're new or gently used. And the women can definitely use that, and they have children with them. So it's also children who need stuff, and the women. And I don't know, it's just a very humbling experience, and I'm really grateful to Florenzia for bringing that up. And yeah.
Indy and her daughter, they presented the mothers with flowers as well. And my daughter and I, we went, and let me tell you, those mothers were grateful, and they want to thank you, Joe. And, you know, they're really, and as Hindi said, they're in need, they're in hiding, they've been extricated out of violent situations. So remember them. And if you have anything to, you know, you can reach out to, we're the co-chairs of community safety, so you can reach out to us or the board office. You know, Sean will get in touch with us. Thank you. And then the last thing is, Build a Block meeting for Sector B will be on Monday the 22nd at 7 p.m. at the YMCA Flatbush, 1401 Flatbush Avenue, between Farragut and Foster Avenue. Thank you, and welcome to all the new members.
Chair, can I say a little thing?
Yeah.
I just want to say that I keep in touch with police who retired. I'm happy to. They tell me every single time, please tell the board how they go, these police, like Inspector Separano, they go from place to place. They get a new, I don't think I need thank you. They get a new community board in each precinct. I've only been to this and a couple other community boards. These guys say, this is unbelievable. This is the best in the city. Our community managers, our chairpeople, are unbelievable. And the activism of the people, Carl Henry and Dwayne and Hindi and Florencia, God bless them, they're changing lives. And God bless you all.
Hindi, Joe, Florencia, thank you for this wonderful thing you did this Mother's Day. Really, you're special human beings. Moving on to the next committee report, Community Environment, Cultural Affairs, and Economic Development Committee. That's right, Dwayne.
You were just going to sit there, weren't you? We didn't have a meeting last month. Goodbye.
Well, we have other stuff we can inform you about.
You, sir.
My name is Mike Joseph. This is Martin Brisson. We are the co-chairs of the Community Environment, Cultural Affairs, and Economic Development Committee. I finally got it right without stuttering. That should be recorded somewhere.
It is.
We did not have a meeting last month, but we do have a meeting scheduled for this month on the, you want me to do that? Yes, please. Yeah.
So we've got one coming up May 31st at 6:30 online. We have 3 agenda items. The first is report on the New York City policy regarding the installation of 5G networks, specifically these monster towers. They've put in 100 of them thus far. We're going to have a presentation from Stacy Gardner of the New York City Office of Technology and Innovation and reps from CityBridge, which is the organization which is responsible for the installation. There are 100 of them out, and in late April, the FCC said that each individual tower needed to be subject to environmental and historic preservation reviews, which have not been done. And so I gather there's now a moratorium, and so I think it should be an interesting presentation to hear where the various parties are headed on this. And I know those of you who were here 2 years ago in our committee, we had a presentation from an organization called Link, on these same 5G towers. And we raised concerns back then, so we're not entirely surprised that it's become something of an issue today. So that'll be the first agenda item. Second, a postponed item from previously, the presentation on expanding access to public restrooms, always a pressing interest. And last, an update on the Shirley Chisholm Monument, which is going to be in Prospect Park. We have reps from DCA and the two artists who are involved. I believe originally that was supposed to have gone in 2020. So hopefully we'll get some encouraging news on new developments. And I'll just do that one last thing. Speaking of the park, there's a group called Molière in the Park, which is offering a free performance of Molière's play Tartufo. And that's through May 27th at the Left Rack Center. It's all free, and you just have to get on Eventbrite to pick up the tickets. Take it away.
And just quickly, some announcements that we thought were relevant for just community information, and we'll make sure the board has all this information at some point, because some of it I just got in the last day or so. Prospect Park Alliance is going to, along with BRIC, is going to be hosting their Celebrate Brooklyn events this summer. Those begin on Wednesday, June 7th, so I hope they're free to the community, so I hope you all participate in those. Try to go check them out. They usually have great performers. The Department of Environmental Protection has extended the deadline for the New York City Water Bill Amnesty Program. So if you have a past due or overdue water bill, they've extended the deadline for the amnesty program to May 31st. So that's Wednesday, May 31st. You can find the information online on their website. I'll make sure the board has the information, so you can also contact the board to find out how you, if you need to, how you can participate in that program. New York City Small Business Services, one of the agencies that we kind of have purview over as our committee, is celebrating Small Business Month this May with their new initiative, Shop Your City. They have a link on their website to all of the local bids in the city, and specifically our Flatbush Avenue bids and our Junction bids. Check them out. A lot of our small businesses are listed. Please patronize them. Also, and this relates to our youth conference, because we're always, with our youth conference, we're trying to find services and opportunities for employment for our young people. New York City Small Business Services, through their MWBE program, they're doing surveys right now requesting work sites to host youth for the summer. Just an FYI to anyone that runs a business, all of the costs are paid for by DYCD. So that's the salaries and the insurance for the participants. You get them for 25 hours a week for 6 weeks during the summer. So please, I encourage you to become a work site. We have several providers in the community. You can contact the board for that information. And then lastly, 2 weeks ago on May 7th, we had a successful street fair with the Church Avenue bid. So I just want to thank all of the businesses in the bids that participated, all of the community volunteers and community members that participated, and just the residents for showing up. So thank you very much. And I think that's it. I think I went over my time too. So. Yes.
The Church Avenue bid, is there a way the Newkirk Plaza people could be in the Church Avenue bid? Would that
No.
No. Can't do it?
No. It's their catchment area is Church Avenue.
All right, sorry.
But the Newkirk Plaza folks have a merchants association that you should support.
It's funded through Flatbush Development Corp. Supports the Merchants Association.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
You have a question?
No, I forgot. Two great contributors. Congresswoman Yvette Clark donated Bath and Body wash and lotion. How can I forget that? And Target donated towels and the drinking bugs like
tumblers.
So I really, seriously, special thanks to Congresswoman Yvette Clark and to Shanae Howell from Target.
Thank you. Thank you for those contributions. Transportation Committee.
Hi everyone, this is Steve Cohen from the Transportation Committee, co-chair. Ed Sen, my co-chair, could not be here tonight. He sends his apologies, but I'll be really quick. We have a meeting coming up on June 6th, Tuesday, June 6th. It's going to be about city bike and bike lanes, so we'll follow up with more information on that. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was the board got an email from Prospect Park Alliance, and they wanted us to spread word that there's a safety study for Prospect Park Drive that's been posted, and they're looking for community feedback, and that is up on prospectpark.org/safety-study. One more time, prospectpark.org/safety-study. That's about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I just wanted to note that if you're in the park, if you haven't read the study, it's not totally clear what's going on. But from Park Circle, down by Coney Island Avenue and Ocean Parkway, all the way up to Grand Army Plaza, taking that south and east side of the loop, the bike and vehicle area has moved from the right side to the center, so you can also run or walk on the right. Just wanted to note that because the signage is a little lacking right now, and just for anyone here, so that they're aware there's now pedestrians on both sides of that area to keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the report from topical committees. Moving on to our ad hoc committee, the CB14 Flatbush African Burial Ground Task Force.
Hello, it's me again. Yeah. At some point, y'all are gonna get tired of me and send me off to a tropical island to suffer while I count the sand on the beach, drinking rum punches. So whenever you want to do that, let me know. Talisha and I, along with the community board, hosted on Thursday, April 27th, a task force meeting of the CB14 Flatbush African Burial Ground Task Force with representatives from the Department of Parks, specifically Mr. Davey Ives and Mr. Emmanuel Tingay. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. This was a follow-up to the town hall held by the Department for Parks and Recreation that previous Monday on the 24th, which was hosted with Community Board 14 and Councilmember Joseph's office. The town hall was very well attended. It's reported that there are, I believe, 112 participants that included members of the community board, key community stakeholders and stewards, and members of the greater Flatbush community, as well as other interested parties. The conversation for the task force meeting focused on the early part of the DPR process for the future of the burial ground, specifically around the plan for community outreach and engagement. The top takeaways from that meeting: Mr. Ives provided a quick overview of DPR's current process for projects of this scope. As this was a non-traditional project, the community and board members present asked DPR if they would consider amending their process to involve key community stakeholders and possibly contracting a vendor that has experience in facilitating community outreach and engagement around a project with this level of complexity. There was a concern that DP could improve its current efforts, especially to members of the descendant community. Mr. Ives conceded that this was a suggestion that he would bring back to the DPR leadership to discuss further. In addition to that, CM Joseph committed through her office that neighboring community boards, specifically Community Board 9, Community Board 17, would be included in all discussions moving forward. Participants and the board stressed the importance of involving vendors and partners in the initial process that have a high level of cultural competence, who are able to be good stewards with the project as it progresses. Participants also expressed concerns about DPR's plans to minimize their impact on the burial ground and those entombed as they move forward. Mr. Ives and Mr. Tingay reassured the community that it is DPR's plan to involve an archaeologist throughout all stages of this process. Lastly, participants requested that DPR create a landing page online that would allow interested parties to have access to both the historical information relevant to the development of the burial ground, as well as future planning and engagement activity. A note for anyone here, though, and thank you to the CB14 team, our website, our brand new fancy website, has a lot of this information already archived in that space. So if you go to cb14brooklyn.com, to the projects tab, to Flatbush African Burial Ground Task Force, you'll find much of the information, historical and current, available for consumption. Any questions?
I would just add an emphasis on what Dwayne just said, and if anybody in the room or anybody streaming, if you have any vendors or any kind of contacts that would be applicable for the Flatbush African Burial Ground, which I heard that the short name is FABG. So if anybody has any vendors or anybody else that they feel like would be helpful in, submitting to the Parks Department or anything like that, that would be great. If you can just contact the district office, and I'm sure Sean will
facilitate for sure. Yeah.
Take notes and pass it along to the pertinent people. Thank you.
Parks and Mission needs a lot of help in communicating, so we want to give them as much support as possible.
Yeah, and I think that was one thing that was really stressed in the 2 meetings that happened in April, is that everybody is really quite strongly focused on helping Parks Department and having them do a really robust community engagement function for this. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This brings us to our public comment period. Board members are expected to remain for the public comment period. Speakers can sign up for time with Patricia Olander in the back of the room. Matters of civic interest and announcements of public events are invited. No partisan political appeals or advertising of for-profit enterprises are permitted. Each speaker will be permitted for up to 3 minutes and may not receive additional time from another speaker. Speakers are directed to address the assembly from the front of the room, and at the conclusion of the 3-minute period, each speaker must return to his or her seat or their seat. The board member has an obligation to conduct its business in an orderly manner. Any person preventing the meeting from continuing may be asked to leave. The intent of the public comment period is to permit the board and the community a chance to hear diverse perspectives on public issues. Accordingly, speaking time will be assigned first to speakers from different groups, then to speakers addressing different issues, and finally, time permitting, to additional speakers on an issue from a single group. It is now 8:03, and the first speaker will be Elise Labin from Congresswoman Yvette Clarke's office.
Good evening, everybody. Normally I speak 30 seconds. Today it'll be 1 minute and 30 seconds. So first and foremost, I want to thank Sean and the Community 14 for hosting that listening tour for Congresswoman Yvette Clarke at the Brooklyn College. It was nice attended, and I think she had a very good moment for meeting her constituents and vice versa. I also want to thank Ms. Chang Ajita for mentioning the Congresswoman for her donation for the, thank you very much. I will tell her that you made mention of it. Just a second for about Mr. Dweck. He calls our office, not about himself. There are issues in the community, people who he may barely know or may know, and wants results, and does call our office, not about himself, as I say, just for the community, and that's the type of guy he is, and I want to give applaud for that. We're located at 222 Lenox Road between Rogers and Nostrand. We deal not strictly, but mostly in federal issues, passports, immigration, veterans affairs, housing, and of course we support our local officials, representatives who need letters of support. There's one event coming up for Friday, May 19th, so it's Congress, there are flyers on the table so you can register. So it's Congressman Yvette Clarke, Senior Member of Energy and Commerce Committee, presents the 2023 Energy Roundtable, which will be held Friday, May 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the SUNY Downstate Medical Center Auditorium, 395 Lenox Road. There'll be guest panelists will be New York Senator Kevin Parker, New York City Council Member Sandy Nurse, and New York City Deputy Public Advocate Kashif Hussain. It's also guest collaborator Julie Taghi, President of New York League of Conservation Voters Education Fund. So as I said, there are flyers on the table, so please to register to RSVP so that you can attend that meeting. Our number is 718-287-1142. That's 718-287-1142. We're open for business. If you need any help in your federal issues, please reach out to us. And again, thank you. I think I have another 5 seconds.
Next speaker will be Kenneth Lazar, followed by Antonia Bramble and Norinda Chawla.
Good evening. Ken Lazar from the New York City Department of Buildings. Good to be back in Brooklyn. First, I want to announce the Department of Buildings has a new commissioner, James Otto. He hit the ground running last week. He's met with all the boroughs, met with us to see what and was asking us what we need to help the communities, and it seems to be he's really interested, and he's already started giving us the tools that we need to help the community. Now, first thing we have is buildings after hours. Every Tuesday night, if you have a problem, you want to come in, any Tuesday night between 4 and 7, the building department is open. You can meet with an inspector, a plan examiner. It's open to homeowners, business owners. If you have a project, and you don't have to consult with an architect, you can come in and see if you can resolve the problem with a with a inspector, with a plan examiner, before you have to engage an architect. It's a free service every Tuesday night between 4 and 7 o'clock at a new location, 345 Adam Street. We're no longer at 210 Joralemon. We're at 345 Adam Street on the 3rd floor. Again, this is every Tuesday night between 4 and 7 p.m. My final announcement. As you know, Local Law 152 was passed by the City Council. This is the gas piping law. And this is, homeowners have to have the gas piping inspected every 4 years. And it happens to be 2023, CB14, it's your turn. So I have flyers in the back, and between January 1st and December 31st, gas piping in all buildings except for buildings classified R3, which is 1 and 2 family homes, are exempt. A master plumber must file these inspections. So again, I have the flyers in the back. It's easier for you to pick one up and read it for me to explain everything. Again, 1 and 2 family homes are exempt. One last thing, if you do not have gas in your building, you still have to file to show that you do not have gas in the building. So again, the flyers are in the back. Any question?
Aye.
Yes?
First of all, I want to thank you because I know we've been keeping you really busy lately, and I really appreciate your responsiveness and all the information you provide. My question about the Local Law 152, when you say R3, you're not talking about the zoning map. You're talking about
occupancy, not zoning R3. That's occupancy R3.
And that shows up where? On the certificate of occupancy, or where does it say R3? On the C of O?
R3 zoning. Oh, now you got this.
This is what we're trying to not do.
Occupancy R3 would be classified R3 would be 1 and 2 family. It's residential 1 and 2 family.
Thank you, Ken.
Again, not zone. 1 and 2 family are exempt.
Yes.
I just have a question about the night hours on Tuesdays. Is it only open to business owners?
Everybody.
Okay, that's all.
Everybody between 4 and 7. Don't show up at 5 to 7. Okay? But it's open 4 to 7. Cards are in the back. Any questions you have, before you even consult or have to pay an architect or an engineer, you have a question, you have a project, or if you haven't got a violation and you want to come in and try to resolve it before you go to court, come in, you can meet with a inspector. You know.
For tenants who are looking for inspections for the building that they are living in, is that a way for them to go about it also?
What is that?
For tenants who are looking for, and thank you for the users.
Yeah, I think you're talking more, if you have something in the building that you want inspected because it's like a complaint or a concern, that wouldn't be for DOB, that would be for HPD. The DOB...
Specifically, if elevators go to...
Elevators go to the Department of Buildings. The whole thing is just call your best thing is to call 311. Suggested, put the call into 311 and then call the community board. Give the community board the complaint number and they will get in touch with me and we can expedite it. Okay? Have a good night.
If you have a question, you can let me know. I can call them tomorrow.
Yeah. Next person is Antonia Bramble and Narinda Chabla from Brooklyn Public Library, and they will be followed by following Kashif Hussain from the Public Advocate's Office.
Good evening. Greetings from Brooklyn Public Library. New York City's libraries are still facing significant cuts in the city's budget. So while the mayor reversed some cuts in the executive budget, libraries are still facing a potential loss of $36.2 million. So these cuts are some of the deepest we have faced and will undoubtedly impact our public service, potentially reducing hours, services, programs, collections, and affecting our ability to fill vacant positions. We are asking you to please let our city leaders know how important libraries are for our communities and urge them to reverse any proposed library budget cuts. This is on bans. Celebrate 1 year ago, BPL launched a national campaign to fight against censorship of books. Youths ages 13 to 21 anywhere in the country can apply for a BPL e-card and access the library's entire digital catalog of e-books, audiobooks, and databases. Teens in New York State already have this benefit. Anyone who lives, works, or goes to school in New York State can apply for a free e-card. BPL is working hard to help teens locally learn more about these issues and exercise their right to read. Teens can join BPL Intellectual Freedom Teen Council to discuss book challenges, their favorite books, and how they can help youth across the country protect the right to read. We are so proud to support the freedom of young people to read whatever they choose. Also, come and get your hands dirty with Brooklyn Public Library Branches in Bloom programs. Brooklyn are hosting programs for all ages relating to gardening and nature. As part of this environmental programming, half of Brooklyn Public Library branches receive new plants for their gardens, planters, and most branches are hosting science, nature, craft, and other programs celebrating Branches in Bloom this spring and summer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your time is up.
Hi, my name is Narendra Chola. I'm a branch manager at the Flatbush Library. So one thing I wanted to highlight is...
apologies to interrupt. Your 3 minutes are up.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. We'll go back to Mr. Hussain. Next up is Mary Kasiri from Assemblymember Robert Carr's office, followed by Virginia Donalds from Taste of Sounds.
Hi, everyone. Assemblymember Carroll just wanted me to let you know that through DEP, he has 2 giveaways. The first is flood barriers, 6 feet and 12 feet in length. and you can use them the same way you use sandbags. And he has them in his office, available for pickup. If there's neighborhoods that would like them delivered to like a location, you can talk to me at Assemblymember Carroll's office. But they look like deflated pool toys, and you fill them with water, and they block basement doors or basement windows or trouble spots that are prone to flooding. He also is allowing people to sign up for rain barrels now. DEP tells us that they won't be able to distribute them till sometime in July. That distribution usually happens in a yard in Prospect Park South where there's some space, but you can sign up for those and we'll let you know when they're available. And lastly, we have a MetroCard bus coming to Assemblymember Carroll's office on July 31st. It's very popular. You can take care of all of your MetroCard needs, including reduced fare. You can get your picture taken, and they're going to talk to you about the Omni program, so you're aware of that. Thank you.
Next will be Kashif Hussain from New York City Public Advocate's Office, followed by Virginia Donalds.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to take this opportunity to welcome the new community board members, and I want to thank you, Sean, and the entire team here for the 2 years that I've been with you guys. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So on behalf of the Public Advocate's Office, we have what we call State of the People Week. This Wednesday, there will be an event at Foley Square on electric micromobility. So you guys know that there's been so many fires that is associated with the electric bikes, e-bikes, lithium-ion batteries. So this will be an effort to bring fire department, DOT, the advocates, and some of the companies that actually provide these services like Lime, Rio, Bird, Propel, to all come together and talk about the future of micromobility. So I highly encourage, I didn't have a paper or flyer, so you can go to our website, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and you can find a link to register. I highly encourage the transportation team here, Steve and everybody else, if they can make it, it's going to be a very good experience. And then on Thursday, Public Advocate will be given what he calls the State of the People address. He's going to talk about all the accomplishments that his office and administration has done so far and what his vision is for the next entire year. So I encourage you guys to register, check out our website, our Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And the next presenter will be Virginia Donalds, followed by Portia Edwards.
Hi, good evening. I'm Virginia Donalds, and I am the founding director of a platform called Taste of Sounds. We are a budding nonprofit that provides programming and events for the creative community here in Brooklyn, New York. So as someone who was born and raised in Flatbush, I'm not community board member, but I will be pretty soon. I thought it was very important for me to be a part of my community a lot more, and this is why I'm here. So it's great to meet everyone. One of my initiatives for Taste of Sounds is to not only continue to create the great programming that we have for artists, but then to also kind of bridge the gap between people my age and our community. Because I feel like there is a big gap between the two. So one of the things that we're doing this year is we're creating a music development program for the Teen Center at the Brooklyn Public Library in Kings Highway. And we're hoping to do more things like that. So for any committee members, for any community board members, if there's any events that you would like to help us promote, or, sorry, not help us promote, if you would need help to promote, or, you know, if you need like any extra hands for volunteers or what have you, please feel free to reach out. And for more info on Taste of Sounds, please visit our Instagram. Right now, our site is currently down. It's getting all beautified like the new CB14 website. And you'll be seeing a lot more of me. So thank you for the time.
Thank you very much and welcome. Next will be Portia Edwards from State Senator Zellner's office, followed by Aram Malakowski from Councilmember Farrah Lewis.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Portia Edwards. I'm the District Director for State Senator Zellner Myri's office. It's my first time in person at CB14, so yay. Just wanted to give a few announcements. Last week, we were able to pass one of our major bills, Fair Victims Compensation Act. I can never get it right. Fair Access to Victims Compensation Bill. That's what's called.
There it is.
So that was passed last week. It allows victims of violence to be able to be compensated because of the things that have been happening. So made that a little bit more fair. We have CUF in our office every Wednesday from 12 to 6 p.m. helping out with affordable housing. They are sort of experts on the Housing Connect website, and so they are helping as many people as make appointments to fill out those applications from 12 to 6 p.m. Every Wednesday in our office. You can just make an appointment with me. I'll leave my cards in the back. We do have free rapid tests. Please come get them because we have a lot and a lot more PPE. We have gallon-size sanitizers if organizations need. Please do that. One really exciting announcement. Timbuktu is doing Climate Science and Careers Summer Institute is doing a summer internship program this year where high school students can earn up to $1,000 for 2 weeks of this program. So if you guys want information on it, just let me know. I'll be in the back. And last update, the Bridge Project is now accepting applications to new moms who can earn up to $500 a month, I believe. Yep, up to $500 a month. There are a few eligibility requirements there, but new moms who live in Brooklyn, Central Brooklyn, and Staten Island are eligible to apply for a program that can help get you more money to be able to take care of your newborn baby. Our office is located at 1077 Nostrand Avenue in the corner of Lincoln Road. That's my time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Thank you. Next we'll hear from Brittany Hale from NYC Smoke. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yes, please. I'm batting 1,000 with you today. I'm so sorry.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Abraham. I am from the office of Councilmember Farrah Lewis. I'd like to start off by thanking everybody for having me here today. This month, for the month of May, the office brings awareness to mental health. We also celebrate AAPI Heritage Month, Jewish Heritage Month, Haitian Flag Day, and Teacher Appreciation Week. Last month, on the week of April the 3rd, Deputy Mayor Joshi of Recovery Operations partnered with our office to do a beautification project. During this project, we cleaned up graffiti, garbage, and many more things. The council member is also hosting a NILAG van to offer free legal services to all those who need it. The past week, our office participated in the very first cabinet meeting for One Kenilworth Place Shelter. This meeting gave an opportunity for stakeholders in the community to see what goes on in the shelter, and we look forward to continuing to work with the shelter. Our office is working with the Commissioner's office, through the Commissioner of DSNY's office, to ensure that our Jewish and Muslim communities will not be affected by the new garbage collection laws. If anyone has any questions about that, please come and see me afterwards. I just don't have too much time. Councilmember Lewis is partnering with Millennium Development and the Brooklyn Gold Alliance to have a golf program for children ages 8 to 13. The program started on May the 2nd and will end on June the 6th. Lastly, we have block party packages. If anybody has a block party, if any block association has a block party, we offer juice, chips, and water. You can call our office to register. It's first come, first serve, as long as everything lasts. Lastly, we also offer housing services that are in-person walk-ins every Wednesday from 10 to 4, and immigration services, which are virtual on Mondays and in person on Tuesdays by appointment only. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Next will be Brittany Hale from NYC Smoke Free, and will be followed by Eileen Mulaney Newman.
Hello, I'm Brittany. I work for NYC Smoke Free as the Brooklyn Youth Engagement Manager. We're under the umbrella of Public Health Solutions, which is the largest public health nonprofit in the city. And we have a couple goals related to tobacco control, particularly for youth. So we know that there's like a proliferation of tobacco imagery and vaping imagery that young people are seeing. And so the statewide reality check, which is the youth program, is hoping to sort of flood the Attorney General's office with encouragement to have some sort of conversation about tobacco and vaping imagery in youth media. So the state created this municipal resolution, and we're hoping to get community boards and other sort of CBOs and schools to sign on to it, or to at least kind of become aware of the access that young people, particularly teenagers, are having to tobacco and to vaping imagery. We know that the average age of a new smoker is 13, and in Brooklyn in particular, 16.2% of young people and high schoolers are reporting using some kind of tobacco product in the last 30 days. So almost 1 in 5, it's a ton. And there's lots of conversations to be had about tobacco and its impact on the body generally, but especially for young people, something to think about. So I have a bunch of non-environmentally conscious papers, so if you're going to recycle it, just leave it and I'll use it for something else, because they're blank on the back. But the resolution's on the top. I can send it via email, or you can come get it, and then there's just a brief information about NYC Smoke Free. We work with communities on a lot of different things. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next, from the Borough President's Office, Eileen Mulaney Newman. And Ruby Charles will follow her.
Good evening. Welcome to the new board members. Glad to have you. And bravo to the existing board members. So thank you all. Just another shout out about the comp plan. We do have a public workshop this Thursday, the 18th. The cards are in the back. So if you did want to come in person and you have questions, you want to give testimony, come to Borough Hall 6 to 8 p.m. The other announcement I have is that we're celebrating Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month on Thursday the 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Borough Hall. Please come. It's going to be, we have some great honorees that have done some wonderful social service contributions in the community. We also have an amazing performance from Brooklyn Raga Massive. They're an artist group, and we've got this classical violin performance. It's going to be amazing. And some Bengali dance and some other things. And we will also have some light refreshments. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ruby Charles from Sanctuary for Families.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ruby. I work at Sanctuary for Families. It's New York City's leading nonprofit for survivors of domestic violence and sex trafficking. So we provide a bunch of services. We have legal services, food pantry, we have DV shelters, but more recent, we have a rapid rehousing program where we're able to house 20 families and pay their rent up to 24 months. We mail checks directly to landlords. I have some brochures back there. If you know any landlords or know anyone who might need these services, please share our information. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next will be Jasmine Smith from COVID Advocacy and Initiative.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Like you heard, my name is Jasmine Smith. I'm a resident of the community board, board like 14, District 14. On behalf of COVID Advocacy Initiative and Mandate Mask New York, I'll be giving away free KN94 masks this coming Sunday, May the 21st, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the corner of Cortelyou Road and Argyle Road. While the pandemic emergency has been declared over, we know that the COVID-19 pandemic itself is still ongoing. We are giving these masks away for free as part of a week of advocacy to keep masks in healthcare in particular. The last place any of us should worry about contracting any virus is in a medical setting. Masking in healthcare settings makes those spaces safer for all of us, but especially for those most at risk for severe COVID outcomes, such as the chronically ill, the disabled, or the immunocompromised. Beyond that, wearing high-quality masks consistently is the easiest way to avoid catching and spreading various airborne viruses. So stop by to get some free masks to help protect yourself and others. Again, that's this Sunday, May 21st, at Argyle Road and Cortelyou Road. If you are interested in finding out more about how to fight to keep masking in healthcare settings, you can go to mandatemaskny.org and click on the Keep Masks in Healthcare NY Action Toolkit. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I do have one last person who is signed up to speak. I think what you wanted to introduce might be a little bit premature right now, but we'd like to encourage you to reach out to the district office and perhaps have you back next month once we hear from the Office of Cannabis Management. Okay. That concludes our public speaking period. Before we adjourn, I hope you enjoy some much-needed rest and relaxation during the upcoming Memorial Day holiday. May we continue to honor the U.S. military personnel who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. That being said, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded. This meeting of Community Board 14 is adjourned at 8:31 p.m.
Hey.